Hello, everybody. Good to see you here. I'm just going live on Instagram as well. Give me 1 second. It's just delaying itself. Okay. I think it's just not gonna work still. So, how are you? I'm really happy because yesterday, 4th of July, was the anniversary, 5th anniversary of opening Purity Health. So 4th of July changed my life 5 years ago. And actually, one woman changed my life because one woman turned up on 4th of July. And from that day on, I've always had patients in my clinic. Now, let me tell you the backstory of Purity Health. So Purity Health started in my mind. I was working in a busy medical center in a place called Lakelands. And let's see if this is gonna go live. I don't think it has. It's wanting me to go live on Instagram. I'm sorry if you're on Instagram and I'm not live on Instagram. I'm gonna have to post later. So 4th of July, a woman turns up at my clinic. It was actually my granny flat. The story goes back some way before then. So I came to Australia in 2020, 2 weeks before COVID. And I worked in a very busy medical center. And in that medical center, we were about 32 doctors in that center. And in the second week of me being here in Australia from the UK, I got attacked by a patient, just 2 weeks. But I did not know what to do because the medical center had not really orientated us very well regarding what to do in such circumstances. Fast forward, I was able to get out of that contract and a year later moved on. And just about that time, COVID was happening. So I moved away from Rockingham and moved to Harvey, where I am right now. So, but I was commuting every single day to Lakelands. That's 45 minutes. And I needed something to listen to. So I started listening to Dr. Louise Newson. And because I was a member of the Royal College of the UK still, I continued, being part of that. So that was part of the education for being a GP in the UK, because I was trained in the UK. So I was listening to Dr. Newson, and she was the pioneer of menopause, and I got to enroll into her program of named Confidence in Menopause, and I went through the program. And the more I saw what women are suffering, are bringing to me every day as a female GP, I realized that, wow, many of these women are menopausal. But I wasn't really allowed to practice like I am practicing now. So I asked some of my colleagues, could I help your women? And I was told, no, menopause is not a thing. So I felt really downcast, but I was happy because I was transforming lives. And women would come back to me telling me how well they were doing. So I said, okay, I need to open a clinic. But this, remember I came to Australia in 2020, January 13th, and I opened my clinic on 4th of July, 2021. So I was still wet behind the ears, and I did not know how to run a medical center. So one Sunday afternoon, I was feeling really sad that I'm gonna drive for 5 minutes. And I was perimenopausal and I did not know it yet. So I was crying all the way to Lakelands, and I would see a sheep or a cow or a calf, and I wished that I was an animal. For some reason, I just wished I was as free as they are. That's perimenopause for you. And I'll be worried that I might not remember doses and questions. So I was second guessing myself, which is what I see every day in my clinic to this day. But I did not know that I was perimenopausal. I thought, I'm pretty good. I look after myself very well, and I do not think menopause is not get me. But I was very, very wrong. I was in perimenopause. So I decided to text a guy that I'd never met, but I talked to him. His name is Professor Martin Sami, the CEO of Sami Medical. I had got to know him through my friends. So I texted him and I said, I would like to open a menopause clinic. And he asked me, when are you going to open a menopause clinic? I said, well, in about 2 years. He said, no, you're going to open it by this winter. I said, wow, really? So we talked for 30 minutes and he said to me, I'm coming to see you face to face. I said, okay. So this guy is a professor. His wife is a PhD in something. His son-in-law is a lawyer and his daughter is a GP. Oh man, these are important people coming to my house. So I said, okay, you're welcome. But I had no furniture in my house. I was planning my house to be like space that I could play basketball if I want, my living room, and just sit on cushions and mats and nothing else. So I said, okay. And that was a Sunday. So on the next Sunday, I had these 4 important people coming to my house. So guess what? I had to borrow a table and chairs, dining table and chairs from my neighbors because there was no way I was gonna buy those that quickly. So my lovely neighbor, Matt and Chloe, brought me their dining table and chairs. They even loaned me a juicer because I did not have any of those things. And so, and they said, well, we want to eat some Kenyan foods. Well, I was born in Kenya, but I left Kenya 26 years ago. So I'm not well versed with Kenyan cooking. But I said, we want to eat some Kenyan food. I said, okay. And I had to figure out how to do that stuff. I asked my mom, how do you cook this? How do you cook that? Anyway, we talked and I was very unsure of myself, unsure of what I wanted. Not what I wanted or it was lack of confidence of how this is going to happen. I knew that I had a dream and I knew that I had a purpose, but I did not know how I would fulfill that purpose because I was shy. I had a stammer many years ago. I still do have a stammer, but I did not know how I'll be able to articulate with that in front of people like I'm talking to now, or one-to-one, or even be the face of a clinic. I wasn't sure, but they said yes, and I said yes. So then we got on to Facebook. We started posting about menopause. I was posting about menopause. I'll tell you my first video on Facebook, I shot it 5 times, maybe even 10 times, because I like learning and not reading a script. I needed it to flow without pauses because I did not know how to edit. And so I was in front of that camera 10 times. Those 10 times taught me 10 times on how to shoot a video. So every day I'll shoot a video on perimenopause, menopause, talking about breast cancer, HRT, and all these things. And then I started counting down 20 sleeps to my clinic, i.e. how many nights you're gonna have to the opening of my clinic. And I was counting down all the way down to the day before my clinic opened. But my clinic wasn't gonna open where it opened. It was meant to open in a premises in Harvey, but we could not find any place in Harvey because for various reasons, but we were outsiders. I was an outsider. I wasn't known. So there was nobody really rooting for me. And we had to apply for home occupation. That means having the clinic in my granny flat, which is where I am right now shooting this video. And the shire was very slow. And we did not know how that was gonna happen. But I was getting women communicate with me via Facebook and telling me to speak to so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. So finally, we got to meet the person that we needed to meet to allow us to open the clinic here on the 4th of July, 2021. So, and that's why I said that one woman changed my life, because that woman believed in me enough to turn up on the 4th of July. And so I did not have an empty slot from that day on. She seeded this clinic, and I will be forever indebted to that woman. Yes, it's her story of having had a hysterectomy, struggling with weight gain, was taking medications that she was told was for rheumatoid arthritis, but she believed she did not have rheumatoid arthritis. She felt not listened to, dismissed, and not sure what's happening with her body. And that's the story. Again and again, that's the story that I hear. It hasn't changed. It's the same story. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You're not alone. For all these years, these 5 years, I hear the same stories. You're not alone. So the clinic opened, but I was the only one running the clinic. As a home occupation, you're not allowed to have anyone working for you. I was a receptionist, I was the cleaner, I was the nurse, I was the CEO, I was the communications Facebook person, I was everything. If there was anything that went wrong, here, sorted it out. So I got to learn to do stuff. And I'm grateful for that full year that I was in here, because I was able to grow without pressure. When I started the clinic, I put all the money that I had into the infrastructure, into what we need to scale it up to a clinic when we got the premises, because we're still looking. And Prof. Sami Medical CEO had told me that, Purity, you're gonna be poor for a while, but you'll be okay. Do not chase money. Money will chase you. And I was poor for that full year. I thank God I still had food to eat, but it was tough, really, really tough. And the person was, sending out invoices and collecting money. And I'm not really I'm not very good with that kind of things, those kind of things. So when I finally got somebody working for me, I had a list of about 60 people that hadn't paid me still. So I was working on deficit for all this time. So I saw patients every single day, sometimes 4, sometimes 5, sometimes less, but never 0. And I think I've seen by the time my clinic moved from my granny flat to Harvey, I've probably seen every woman that needed to be seen in Harvey. And I thank the women of Harvey for believing in me. And then at that point, the clinic was growing. My booking system was Facebook. I did not have any booking system, and sometimes Facebook would not work. And I decided that we need a website. But I had nobody to build a website for me. I learned how to build a website. So my website that you go to now, I built that website. Was built out of necessity. Not that I'm smart, but it was adversity that made me do that. And when I look back, I'm grateful that happened, because now I can build websites. And this was before we have the AI that we have right now. But I was able to do it out of necessity, because I knew that to scale, I needed to get away from Facebook booking, because it wasn't going well. And I did that. Against all odds, I did not. So one day I was seeing a patient, and I was saying that I need to move from here, but I don't know where to move to, i.e. from the ground flat in my home. I need to go somewhere. but I cannot go to Harvey because every direction that we've tried to get a premises was blocked. There was some politics behind that, local politics. And this woman tells me, don't worry, I know somebody that has a premises right now that is going vacant at some point. So this was some point during the year, but she said that in December, this clinic was going to become vacant. I mean, this facility was going to become vacant. And she called the person right there and then, and I got to speak to him. He said, yes, I think it's becoming vacant in December. And yes, it did. And in January, he handed us the key. But the problem was, it wasn't a clinic. It was a music room. And it had some issues, big issues that we had to deal with. And a lot of money that we needed to spend to get it to be a clinic. Also, we had to have permission for a change of use from what it was to being a clinic by the Shire. And we needed to get a builder. And this builder, builders, we were looking for builders. I could not find one, but we found one from Perth who had built clinics for Summit Medical. He was busy, so he could only come at a certain time later. So we had to wait and wait. But I knew that I wanted my clinic to open on the 4th of July in Harvey Town, because although it's not Independence Day for you and for us, there's something about 4th of July. And it was to signify independence for me, but also independence for women that I'm going to listen to, that I'm going to help, that I'm going to explain menopause so that it's barefoot understood by every woman. So it was Independence Day, and I needed my clinic to open on the 4th of July. So this man had to work day and night to transform this place that had lots of issues to a clinic. So I thought, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? But there was no plan B. And by this time, instead of opening Purity Health only, Sami Medical Director and I discussed that we open Sami Medical in association with Purity Health. So we had Sami Medical doctors waiting to work, had no income because they were waiting to work here. So there was more pressure. We had to get the clinic working. So we had to pray, we had to push, and it happened. The clinic opened on the 4th of July. Now it's the 4th year since we moved to the premises in Harvey, 5 years in total since I opened my clinic. And I've been reflecting on that journey and what it means. And who is the hero of that story? It's not me, it's you. It's you. It's you. You're the hero. You're the one that has kept me going. You're the one that makes me live and sleep and eat menopause. That's all I do. I think about it all the time. You trust me enough with your stories, your pain. You cry in my office. Your relationships are breaking down. You feel like you're losing your mind. You feel like you don't know who you are anymore. You've gained 20 kilos in 2 years. You don't know how. You cannot string sentences together with the same articulation that you used to have. You wonder, have you got dementia? You wonder, is there anything else going on in my brain? Have I got a brain tumor? And then you see me with the same stories that I've had all these years. And that's why I'm saying to you that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. It's the same stories that I hear. that you've had your blood test done and they are normal. You've been told that you're getting old, or you've been told that you're depressed, then here's some medications, or you're not listened to, you're dismissed. But you know your body, you say, I'm not depressed. I know it's hormonal, especially because it comes at certain points in my cycle. I'm talking to the young woman, 37 years old, younger, in your 40s. I'm talking to you. I hear you. I hear your stories. And guess what? When we simplify the problem, when we look at the basic physiology, is that hormonal problems need a hormonal solution. Yeah. And when we give your problem, which is hormonal, a hormonal solution, it's a game changer. Hormone replacement therapy becomes a magic bullet because our organs and systems are connected. They are all connected. But we don't always know why, because our parents don't know why. Our grandparents didn't know why, because nobody told them why. So we're finding out that these symptoms are connected. And my job is to connect the dots for you. A few years ago, 1 year ago, somebody told me that I was a hormone doctor. They were trying to belittle me. But actually, that was a compliment for me, because hormones are chemical messengers that are produced from one organ and go to distant organs and tell them what to do. Hormones are conductors of the orchestra called your body. So yes, I am behind the orchestra called your body. So yes, being a hormone doctor is a pride and my joy, because understanding hormones has changed thousands of women's lives. I've seen thousands of women. I was trying to count today. I've seen more than 5,000 women. And we are individuals, but our bodies work the same. And sometimes the body stops working the way we need it to work. And then we start to wonder, am I going crazy? And then there's the older woman who has been told that you're too old for hormone replacement therapy. I hear you. 60, 70, 80, there's hope. And I've seen you. And actually, I'll tell you, the most transformative stories come from women who have been told there's no hope for you. You cannot have hormones. I guarantee when I see them again, they'll be, wow, it transformed my life. My UTIs have gone. I'm no longer needing to wear a pad because I'm not wetting myself at night or needing to run to the toilet because I've got vaginal estrogen. Tell me, for the first time in many years, I can sleep the whole night. I'm no longer anxious. Yeah. And you know what? You tell me that you're having sex again. Yes, at 70. And I love that. I love that. We can look forward to that as we get older. Getting older is no longer scary. I used to be so scared of getting old. I'm not scared anymore. I'm proud to be 50. And I'm going to be proud with every year that passes. Because with age comes more confidence. I'm a lot more confident now. 50 did something to me that I'm no longer playing people's fiddles, afraid of what they might say or might not say. I'm not following the crowd. I'm following what I know is right and my convictions. And that's why I decided to make this video, so that you know that you are part of this story and that I hear you and I'm working alongside you. And then this mast cell activation syndrome. I didn't know about that stuff, but I needed to find out why some women get better, others don't, with the hormone replacement therapy. And now I've become a mast cell activation syndrome connector of symptoms. And I've got my platform on School 1010 on School with hundreds of women that I'm supporting through mast cell activation syndrome with a low histamine diet and reset. Yeah, and they're losing weight because at the basis of weight gain problems is chronic inflammation. But if you treat hormones only and you don't treat the hormone system, the immune system, which is the mast cells, your nervous system, your fight, flight, or freeze, your anxiety, panic attacks, waking up at 2 to 4 in the morning remains. So we have to see that triad of symptoms: hormones, immune system, and the nervous system. They work together. So I connect for you. I connect the triangle. And if you're within the triangle, your symptoms are sorted out and you learn how to manage your symptoms. Yes. So, and then there's PMDD and PME. Wow. If a woman has got PMDD, she faces the most challenges of all that I've seen. Of all that I've seen, menopause is easy. Straightforward perimenopause is easy. PMDD is a challenge. And then there's PME, premenstrual exacerbation. This is premenstrual exacerbation of an underlying condition like ADHD, an underlying neuropsychiatric condition like ADHD, mostly ADHD, because ADHD in girls and women is missed for years because it presents as anxiety. Anxiety is the coping mechanism of ADHD. So these neurodivergent women, their brains are already sensitive to fluctuations in hormones. And then suddenly the hormones start going down, 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 and they really struggle. So this is now the space that I am at, trying to figure out what is the best way to manage. And I've come up with a few frameworks that I'm working through with my patients in 1010, and they're feedbacking to me. But I say that perimenopause is like a moving target. PMDD is a fast, problematic, moving target. So if you've got PMDD, if you've got PME, if you've started hormones and you feel like your symptoms are worse than when you started, don't give up. Talk to me. Don't give up. Talk to me. I've got some things that I'm coming up with from observation because the framework of PMDD is give an antidepressant. For some people that works. A luteal phase antidepressant does work. Luteal phase is the second phase of your cycle, just before your period. Contraception, or hormonal contraception, that has its big problems, which I'll talk about some days. So there's no real framework that women haven't tried. And when women come to see me, they tell me that you're my last hope. I've heard that again and again. I've tried all that. I asked them, have you tried this? Oh, yes, I have. And sometimes women call me in crisis or write to me on social media in crisis. I hear you. You're not alone. I'm with you. And more importantly, you have the women around you. Open up. Talk to each other. Talk menopause in the workplace, in the supermarkets. Talk menopause, perimenopause. Because when you do, you realize that you're not alone. And then there's domestic violence. I've seen many women come through. Thankfully, most of you are in loving relationships, although the relationships are strained because you no longer have interest in intercourse, or you're shouting, screaming, crying, you're paranoid. Sometimes you think that your other half is cheating on you. It's just a paranoia of perimenopause. But I've seen women who have been victims. I'm not sure if victim is the right word to use. Perhaps not, but they have been subjected to violence although it's called domestic violence, I think calling it domestic violence makes it acceptable, or maybe less of a problem or a crime, but it is a crime. It is a crime. It's violence. Full stop. I've seen that. I've seen you with that. And abuse comes in different ways. There's emotional abuse. You're told every day you're not good. Your finances are being controlled. You're being threatened with being kicked out. Or your other half, your husband, is having an affair and you know it, but you can do nothing about it, because if you do, you're gonna be out of a home. I've seen that. Yeah. You're not alone. Reach out. There's support. There's helplines, domestic violence helpline, mental health crisis helpline. Reach out. You're not alone. So, do you and I get a trophy for suffering? When we get to the end of our lives, we get told, well done, you suffered. Why then do we wear suffering as a badge of honor? Why? Why do we feel as women we have to wear suffering as a badge of honor? So it's the society has conditioned us to that. There's many procedures that we do, like inserting a marina. It's painful. A marina, you know, a marina is a contraceptive T-shaped thing that's inserted up there into your uterus. It's pretty sore. But women have a high pain threshold, we've been told. And we've gone through childbirth, those who've had children. Yes, there's some pain that we've had to endure, but we don't have to endure every pain. And the pain of perimenopause, menopause is one that you don't have to endure. You don't have to. And you don't get a trophy at the end of it. Now, some of you come to see me having tried everything. All the alternative potions, you've tried them. You come with photographs, or sometimes a bag full of supplements and natural this, natural this, natural that. Not everything natural is safe. You know that. You could eat some vegetables and plants out there that will kill you. So not everything that's natural is safe. And you spend lots of money having tests that you don't have to have done. You don't have to have a blood test to diagnose menopause. Neither do you have to have a blood test to diagnose perimenopause. The guidelines say that now. You don't have to. And that delays treatment and suffering. And you go on your way looking for other solutions. I've seen you come to me and tell me, that's it, I've given up. I've spent this and this amount of money and I'm not getting anywhere. Can you help me? And it's so simple that you balance a woman's hormones and she's back to her normal self, even better than she was, than she thinks she was. So yes, you don't have to suffer. While we suffer, life is going past. And we have limited time on this planet. You know that. I know that. I'm 50. I know that I've lived longer than I've got left to live. I don't have time to waste being miserable and full of symptoms that have a solution because I'm afraid of things that have been now discredited and they were not true, and we still carry the narrative. Are you still carrying the narrative? Are you? Are you still carrying the narrative that hormone replacement therapy causes breast cancer? Are you? Well, that's the old narrative. Yeah. It's a whole narrative. So if you want the right information, the up-to-date information, it's available. Everyone is talking about it. In 2021, I was one of the few talking about it. But not anymore. It's available. Look into it. You owe it to you to look into it. And then when you find out, when you got the information, then do something about it. Look for somebody who understands all your treatment options, who can answer your questions, who can guide you. And every decision you make is not set in stone. You can change it anytime. So if you're wanting to dip your toes and find, will hormones help my symptoms of night sweats, flashes, headaches, anxiety, palpitation, tinnitus, in spite of normal blood tests, leakage when you cough or sneeze, bladder overactivity? If you're thinking, what is the connecting factor with all your symptoms and your perimenopausal, menopausal, think no further than your hormones. Then you owe it to you to go to your doctor. Yes, ask them to do your basic blood test to make sure there's nothing else going on. Keep up with your screenings, your mammograms, your cervical screenings, your bowel screening. Yes, I got one on the post when I got 50 to 50. Yeah, you gotta do all these things, but you gotta eat well still. Yes, but you know it. It's not working if you don't have your hormones balanced. So in finishing, I want to say to you that you can get it all back, all of it, and more. And you can look forward to getting old, because you can get old being able to climb mountains if you want, yoga, tai chi, playing hockey, or whatever it is that you play. I'm not advocating that you play volleyball at our age. You're more likely to be injured. But walking and swimming and golf and whatever it is that you want to do, you can have it all back. You don't have to be a bag of bones with osteoporosis. You don't have to end up in a nursing home because you've had a fall and cracked your hip because of osteoporosis. Lack of estrogen is what drives osteoporosis. You don't have to have a heart attack or stroke, because if you get in early, you prevent these cardiovascular risk factors, strokes and heart attacks and dementia. But it's never too late. Even if you're 60, 70, you can still modify your future path. But we don't all have to have these chronic conditions that we see going by. I refuse them. I refuse them. And what I do right now will determine what happens in my marginal decade. You know what's the marginal decade? It's that last decade of life that we spend in the nursing home. I can spend it free. And one day when I'm 100 and something, just go to bed and sleep, and that's it. Instead of dying slowly in an institution or having lost part of who I am because I cannot remember even my closest because of dementia. So there's an explanation to why. Ask the questions, get the answers. Here's to everyone. Here's to you. And to the future for women. Wow. I'm so glad I'm a woman and that I live in this time in Earth's history, that I'm not my predecessors. And I'm so pleased that you found me and I found you. And I want to be here answering your questions. holding your hand. Now, moving forward, I forgot to tell you that, moving forward. Oh, there's a few things that I've got coming up, but it's all part of the growth. But I'll tell you that. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. So thank you for these 5 years. Now this is the 5th year. And as we journey through this 5th year, I look forward to guiding you. And thank you. Thank you for the women that you refer to me and for coming to see me. Thank you. This little African girl, I was born in Kenya, you know that. I had a stutter. I could not say her name. I was born so unprivileged. Never knew my dad until I was 16. And then he didn't want to know much more about me. I always felt the underdog. In university, I felt the underdog. And even throughout my career, I felt that I knew less than everyone else. And even now, I feel that I know less than everyone else. So I strive to better myself. Every day, I want to be better than I was yesterday. Better. Not because I'm competing with somebody, but I'm competing with me. I hold my standards higher than they are now. Every day, they're higher and higher. And because of you, I've got stronger and stronger. And I can do this, what I'm doing right now. And you can do it too. If you've got a dream to start a business, whatever it is that has dropped in your head, it hasn't dropped in your head for no reason. It's there for a reason. Don't let your dreams die. Act on them. I acted on my dream. It wasn't easy. But I found that there are cheerleaders and allies along the way. Find your allies. Find the person that is rooting for you. But the only way to find the person that is your ally is to get away from the people that want your downfall. Yes, there's many. There's many. But there's many more that want you to do well. But sometimes if we are in this cocoon or crucible of toxicity, we cannot find our allies. If you're in that situation, find your allies. We'll root for you no matter what. And get yourself in spaces that you can network towards your dream. Yeah. And we, women supporting women, will do great things. We need to support each other, don't we? I'm here for you. Okay. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being here for the 4th of July celebration. Although it's the 5th of July, I was in church yesterday, so I wasn't able to do this. Thank you. I've got you. And thanks for having me. Peace. Go well, everybody.